Alright, we got some exhaust shit for what's this, the 17 SS from Speed Engineering. It came packaged nicely. The headers were separate. You got the headers in the X pipe kit, so headers were in a separate box, and this box was the X pipe kit. It came with everything you need. You got the clamps and all the joints. Just laid it out here on the carpet. So you got the headers. Like I say, it's pretty good quality, honestly, especially for what we paid, what he paid. All the welds look good. Say internal, say it looks good. All it looks good. So the headers, can't separate headers or what, like headers by themselves was like what?
$369.
That's more than I thought. I thought it was cheaper than that. Anyway, yeah. So the headers alone, said $369. Then you got this is the X pipe kit, which comes with this. It's the off-road kit, so no cats. One thing I do like, they have already a pre-welded bung in if you want to do like a wide bend sensor, so you don't have to drill that yourself. You got the X pipe rear portion. He already has the MBRP, so it should go right up. Say this kit all together, this was what, around $650. And honestly, from like say the stuff I've seen, I'm of course not knocking nobody, but even my car has the JBAs. The 13SS has the Texas Speed. The qualities are seem just as good. Like I say, they're stainless steel. And the reason we went with this is like just kind of like to test out the quality. So my bad, the whole kit was $569. So we kind of like giving the product a try. And like I say, for that price, we'll see what it does. We're gonna wrap the headers anyway, but I'm gonna say from what we see right now, everything looks like good quality. Good welds, mandrel bent. X pipe looks good. Welds on the X pipe look good. So we're gonna give it a try, see what it sounds like, see how long it lasts. So I get the before and after, even though it's basic note. All right. Started a header, the X pipe installed on the Camaro. I don't have a lift, obviously all my stuff is in the garage. I scouted from these blocks that I made. This does get it a decent amount more off the ground, so about 1.5 feet, I believe. So it gives me enough room to get under there and do what I need. I'm gonna come up here and get some of these plastic trims off, get these the spark plug wires out of the way. Probably gonna go ahead and take the spark plugs out too. I'll probably get the actual manifold off first, and then once I put the headers on, though, depending on how the headers are, I may have to take the spark plugs out. Not quite sure. I may just do it just to do it, so I don't risk damaging them. Same thing on this side, and I also may have to disconnect that steering rack, but we'll see once we get to that, get that far. Because the main thing first, I'm just gonna get this trim off where the coils are. I may actually take the coils themselves off too. I'll take the valve cover off to give me a little more clearance. But we'll see how that goes. As far as under, I'll just disconnect here. And then on this side, I'll disconnect it here. And then from there on back, I should be able to drop everything else. Like I said, the MBRP's in the back, so it's already just snip fit up to that point. So it shouldn't be too hard to just drop everything else. You get those out the hangers, get this support off, and then the rear exhaust should drop pretty easily actually. So I'm gonna tackle that, and then we'll see where we go from there. I'm gonna try to also get these O2 sensors out. These are the rears right here. Those are the fronts. So I'll probably just disconnect it and drop the sensors actually with the headers, and that ought to give me the clearance I need. Now I'll pull them out once I actually have the manifold on the ground. There's the bolt for the steering rack right there if I need to get it off. Hopefully we'll be able to squeeze it up there without, but we'll see. Now I'll be back once we get started. Go ahead and start under. I'm gonna go ahead and start under by disconnecting the slip joint here, and then I'll disconnect the bolts here to go ahead and try to see if I can actually get this rear part off first. Oh, was it that? 15. Alright, so see, as far as the underside goes, I got it situated. There's the O2 connection. I disconnected it. The plug, which is right here. This is the one going to the front O2, the one you actually need. Disconnected here behind the first cat. On both sides, this one has like a slip joint. This side actually had 2 bolts. Did that. There was also let me see. Where we at? This brace is here. I didn't got it on backwards, but it went through this side and the bolt that's on this side. Just went ahead and took that off. Whole cat back is off, minus the MBRPs. We just left those hang in for now. There was a frame brace that went here. That's these 5 bolts. Took that off. Hardest part was just actually getting the stock cat back out of the MBRPs. I'll make sure I throw some NICs in there this time. Let's see. Took the hangers off. One here and then one here. And then just slid everything back. So that was it as far as the underside went. I'm gonna actually see, maybe I can reuse this heat shield, snap that off. Maybe I still have some I have some header wraps, some ties from that, so I'll try to see if I can use those. But you see, the stock exhaust actually isn't bad at all. From what I see, this is a nice little cool little flex joint they have here. Minus the part where they stamped down here. I don't really know why they did it like that, but so that's the only real issue. This is still actually a full 2.5 with an X pipe. I mean, I don't see much obstructions in it, but who knows. But like I say, that's done. That's the only thing I see. It does seem like it's maybe steps down in certain little places, like here and here, but the little step downs here, maybe that's why. A lot of people do the axle back. I'm sure that does provide you a little bit more flow, but so that's taken care of. So now we're gonna head up top side and start getting everything unbuttoned up here. All right, starting out at the top. See, I'm just taking off the covers. For now, I'm probably gonna have to maybe get this out of the way. Now pull these spark plug wires. I'd already loosened this, so this is decent. Quick update. I went ahead and disconnected the cat from the stock manifold, just because on this side I'm gonna pull the manifold out from the top, and obviously the cat is pretty fat, so he's not gonna go out that way. If I disconnected the steering rack right there, I could actually slide it through the bottom, which I probably should do, but I'm hoping maybe I don't have to do that to get the headers to slide up. We'll see. Kind of gambling, but we'll see what happens. So I'm in the process of disconnecting this one, and then I'll drop that cat. Like I said, I already did this one. I was sitting on the ground right there. I say they weren't too hard or stuck on there too bad, so I'm gonna keep going with this and catch y'all in a few. All right, so I got these bolts out. So let me drop this cat. Just so. And from there, should be able to pull this up through the top. So let's see. You see, I didn't disconnect the steering rack. So we're gonna see if I can actually get it out through here. It is still warm, of course. I need to disconnect this guy. Just give myself a little more room. And there you have it. All right. Huh. Interesting design. So that's the driver's side. Now, comes the interesting part. Got the headers in on the driver's side. So I showed you guys how I disconnected the first cat from the manifold. It's over there. Manifold is here. So I disconnected the cat that would have been right after here, so I could slide the manifold out through the top. So I got the manifold out through the top. To get the headers in, I came in from the bottom. I had to disconnect the steering rack. Here's just a 10 millimeter. I think it actually was 11. It was a weird number. Pretty sure it was 11. 2 bolts. Luckily they were facing down. With no headers there, it was easy to access it. That'll be the problem now, trying to figure out how to get it back in. But I guess I'll deal with that when I get to it. Got that out. That gave me enough room to slide the headers in from the bottom. I just got them bolted up lightly. I used the same the multi-layer steel gasket. It was fine. So I used. They came with the those other little cheap gaskets, but I know from experience that those tear and rip. So got the multi-layer steel one. I took the valve covers off just to give me more room to access this bolt, because otherwise that would have been kind of out here. I had to work under, so this gives you a little bit more room to work. Yeah, so I'm gonna leave them loose for now until we get the actual rest of the axle back in place how we want it exactly, and then once that's lined up how we want it, we'll start tightening everything down. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to tackle the other side and see how this is. All right, we're tacking the passenger side. I'm getting ready to take the valve cover off. This bracket here has a little apex bit. I'm just trying to find what did I do with the size. I swear I see something down the loop. Anyway, it's an apex bit or torque bit stuck right now, so I gotta get the dipstick out anyway. So I'm gonna try to remove the dipstick with the valve cover. And that should work, as we'll see here in a second. All right, so I'm on the last bolt on this manifold. Trying to loosen it so I can work the dipstick out. It's giving me a little bit of trouble, so I didn't want to bend it or mess it up. So I said I'll just wait and kind of loosen the manifold, and then once I get the manifold off, that should give me the room to kind of play with it a little bit. All right, about to throw these headers in passenger side. We took the we moved the coolant reservoir out the way. Hopefully this will give us a space go in from the top. We gonna seem like it. Oh, is it? Gonna be tight, but it's gonna go.
Committed now.
Yeah.
And we got it from the bottom.
Shit, I'm about to go down there. You can grab the top. I think it just need to angle down more. I think it's just hitting that subframe part. Yeah, it's just hitting that little heat shield. Can you pull it back up just slightly? All right, there you go. Can you throw me those needle nose?
Okay.
Should be pretty much it, almost.
Yep.
Almost. Damn, what now? Oh shit, almost there.
push it a little.
Damn, that was harder than it should have been. Fuck. Get one of these bolts in here now.
Speed engineering. Engineers of speed.
Headers are in. I got the O2 sensors in. I know they say you need an extension on this one, but really you don't. If you look up here, I hope you can see it, but there's a red here, that plastic piece, that's a zip tie. And it's what it is when you get it is zip tied up, kind of like wrapped up and zip tied around so it's short. If you cut that zip tie, it gives you the length you need to actually reach this. All right, so now the headers are pretty much installed. Like I said, they're still loose fit right now, just so I can mock up the rest of the exhaust, but we'll go ahead and start laying this out. I'm assuming this is driver's side. I'm gonna try to do a quick rundown of everything we did for the header install. It really is not that difficult. I looked a lot of places and they were saying you needed to get under the car and remove some of the plastic molding, the skid plate type stuff. We didn't have to do any of that. I'm not quite sure why they suggested it, but for the driver's side, getting the old set out, obviously you're gonna go under the car, disconnect behind the secondary cats, and then you're gonna also disconnect. I mean, if you want to disconnect behind the first primary cats first, you can, but I just did the secondary so we can get the whole cat back out of the way. That should be simple enough. It was just the cross brace, the connections behind the cats, and then we disconnected it from the MBRPs that were already on there and dropped that whole system out of the way. Then we removed the primary cat from the manifold. All right, you're gonna need to do that. And then once you get, say, this plastic trim here, get this all out of the way, get this air box out of the way. In our case, we have this Elite Engineering catch can right here. We got that out of the way. Spark plug wires, got those out of the way. And we took the valve covers off. So you didn't have to, but that gives you a lot more room. I recommend you do it. Obviously, you can take the coils off with that, you know, disconnect the connections to each coil, take it off with the valve cover. And then with just the manifold, the stock manifold on the driver's side, unbolt it, pull it right out from the top. The passenger side, same thing. Take the plastic off, remove the valve covers, the spark plug wires. You can drop that one from the bottom actually if you go ahead and remove that secondary cat. But you can also do it from the top because we had to actually put the headers in from the top, which I'll get to that in a second. So the driver's side, headers went in from the bottom. To do that, we had to disconnect the steering rod, our steering rack right down there. It's just it's 2 bolts. We took that little piece out, and the part that comes out of the firewall actually can get pushed up. It kind of telescopes, push it up. That'll give you all the room you need. Just slide the headers in from the top, button everything back up, you're good to go. For the passenger side, what we ended up doing was moving this. In our case, you see it's down there with the grommet right there, kind of like this. Same thing as one over here. All we did was take this bolt off. That allows us to just lift this whole thing up, swivel it out of the way, simple as that. Obviously we had to disconnect this heater connection that's going there. We disconnected it here so we can swing it out of the way. And then we just held these heater hoses back up. He held it and I slid the headers in from the top. With this out of the way, that gives you all the room you need. It's simple. Bolted on, obviously do the same thing. That's that. I don't know if you guys can see under as much. Connected the O2s, went straight back. The system actually is pretty awesome, especially for that price. I don't see how anybody can beat it. The only issue I felt I had was with the clamps. You see I put like a little ugly tack weld there just to keep it from rotating. I tightened it as much as I could, but sometimes it still felt like it was kind of slipping down. So I just put a tack on every connection right where we had it. It met right up with the MBRPs perfectly. I mean, there's plenty of room, no issues. Also, the most kits come with an extension, or they'll tell you need an O2 extension. For the driver's side, you do not. In our case, see if I can find it. This is the O2 extension that we bought. But what I found out is on the driver's side, the O2 extension, the stock one, is actually kind of like this. It's folded back. It's folded back like this and zip tied in the middle. So there's actually plenty of room. Once you cut that zip tie, you can let it hang, and that gives you all the room you need to reach the O2. You don't need to get an extension. In our case, like I said, unless it's different, but I'm assuming every one's gonna be the same. I can say that was that. You see the MBRPs meets right up with them. Like I said, there were no issues. Everything fit pretty nice.
tips are still good. Now that's a quick rundown. Like I say, really knowing all that, doing it that way, as long as you don't run into any complications with stuck bolts or anything, you probably could do this in, I would say, 3 or 4 hours, especially if you have help. Like I say, knowing the main key for the passenger side is knowing to remove that reservoir, and then the driver's side, just make sure you remove the steering rack. So driver's side, headers in from the bottom, the stock manifold out from the top. Passenger side, you can remove the stock manifold from the top or the bottom as long as you get that secondary cat out the way, the primary cat, excuse me. And the headers for the passenger side go in from the top, so it's kind of reverse on each side.